Red Bull leads Sky Sports F1 team's pecking order going into opening race of 2022 season. Sky Sports F1's Martin Brundle and Anthony Davidson offer their early predictions on the sport's all-new pecking order following 6 days of preseason testing. 2022 campaign gets underway with Bahrain GP next weekend. All live on Sky Sports F1. Sky Sports F1's Martin Brundle and Anthony Davidson believe Red Bull have pulled clear of Ferrari as favorites to start the 2022 Formula One season. Ferrari have impressed throughout winter testing, but it was Red Bull who shone on the final day in Bahrain as Max Verstappen set the fastest time of the week in the updated RB18. Verstappen finishes F1 testing ahead of Ferrari as Merc trail rivals. Hamilton. Mercedes not ready to compete for wins. The final key tables from F1 testing. Recommended. 1/5. Nikita Mazepin. Former Haas driver criticizes team after sacking Kevin Magnussen considered as replacement. Read more. Recommended by. In contrast, Mercedes' performance was puzzling, with Lewis Hamilton suggesting that his team are genuinely trailing their rivals and that anyone who thinks the Yare sandbagging is in for a surprise. Discussing how they see the grid going into next weekend's season opening Bahrain Grand Prix, which is live on Sky Sports F1, Brundle and Davidson largely agreed in a pecking order. Are Red Bull, not Ferrari, the team to beat? Ferrari had been the paddock sweethearts for much of the Bahrain test, but Red Bull's upgraded car wasn't just innovative, the new sidepod design also translated to fast times on the track, with Sergio Perez topping the morning session before Verstappen outpaced Ferrari's Charles Leclerc by 0.7s in the Red Bull are adamant that the times are irrelevant, but Brundle and Davidson were suitably impressed. Red Bull for me came away as the clear favorites, said Brundle. I have absolutely no doubts in my mind that the aero package on the Red Bull took a significant step forward today, said Brundle. Red Bull have moved the game on today in terms of raw pace, long-run pace. They've been smiling all day. I think the pieces they put on the car suddenly made the whole car look better. Davidson agreed that Red Bull were now the early season favorites, adding, they found something with the ride of the car and it looks very good. That's not to say Ferrari are out of the mix, though. The Scuderia have been the most consistent team throughout testing and, while team boss Mattia Binotto is playing down their chances, most others in the paddock believe they are genuine contenders for Bahrain and beyond. Red Bull have got a race on their hands with Ferrari, stated Brundle. That's a front-runner, that's a contender, no doubt about it. Mercedes behind but could still join battle. Brundle and Davidson were also in agreement that Mercedes are, right now, F1's third fastest team. The sports world champions for the last 8 years closed the gap on the final day of testing but were still a second off Verstappen. Most believe they are holding performance back, although Hamilton was adamant that the Silver Arrows, who brought a new look car to Bahrain, will not be in race-winning contention at the start of the season. It was just that the pace wasn't evident, either, as the car was also bouncing around, or porpoising, more than most. The Mercedes car looks a handful, but who would you put in front of them? Said Brundle. I'd go Mercedes in third. Don't write them off, Mercedes. I am sure when they turn up, even in race 1, they'll be quite a bit faster. I still feel like there's more in it, added Davidson. But it just doesn't look good to drive and sparked by the bouncing issues they have. McLaren best of the rest despite reliability concerns. McLaren appeared to be firmly in the hunt in Barcelona, but took a step back in Bahrain, mainly fueled by brake issues which hampered their track time. But Brundle said, I think judging by previous tests I think you'd have to put McLaren in there for fourth, but it's quite close behind them. The Sky F1 pundits saw Aston Martin, Alpine and AlphaTauri as other closely matched midfield teams. Brundle. I think Aston Martin had a reasonable test, good consistency, car looked quite drivable. Davidson. I'll say that if Aston Martin dropped the fuel I think it would be a faster car than the Alpine, said Davidson. Brundle. I am thinking Alpine, Aston Martin and AlphaTauri all about the same, to be honest, sort of fifth equal. Davidson. I would put the AlphaTauri just a little bit behind perhaps. Who's at the back? They also believe the bottom three for last year, Williams, Alfa Romeo and Haas, are the bottom three at the start of this year, despite the headline. Time set the end of the test from Alfa and Haas. That was a good lap that Bottas did for Alfa Romeo, to go 5th, despite being on the C3 tire, said Ant. The Alfa Romeo is definitely not last. Based on this test from what I've seen, both lap times and on track, the way the car has behaved, the Haas and the Williams, unfortunately I probably have to say are at the lower end of the field. He continued, the other maybe more important question is who's going to finish the race. Who's got the reliability on their side? So far you'd have to say. This just hasn't looked brilliant for McLaren with the brake issue, fingers crossed they can turn that around in a week's time. Alfa Romeo. That's twice we've seen the car stop down at turn 8 with gearbox problems, really looks difficult for them. The new season begins with the Bahrain GP on March 18 to 20, all live on Sky Sports F1.